Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on DisneyPlus.com. A quick news update for you guys on a potential second season of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. But before we go any further, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. So earlier this month, Disney released the season finale of Skeleton Crew, a fantastic series which if you haven't seen, definitely would recommend. Stars Jude Law, and he kind of ends up finding a load of kids that have escaped from a planet which nobody knows about, and they're trying to get home, and it is just really good. It's kind of a Star Wars adventure, very 80s vibes, kind of like Goonies, E.T. kind of thing, very much kind of in the original vibe, I think, of the Star Wars films. I loved it. I enjoyed that whole element to it. Very different tonally to some of the other shows that we've seen, like Andor, Acolyte, Boba Fett. But unfortunately, I do feel like the show did suffer from the leftover effects of what's been happening with the Star Wars shows and films over the last few years, where it's just eroded confidence in the brand and just people are less interested. And I definitely think Skeleton Crew suffered from those previous failures. But nevertheless, Skeleton Crew, as of yet, hasn't yet trended on the Nielsen chart. Hopefully, maybe as it goes through, I'm hoping it might do like an Agatha all along, where word of mouth continues to grow, so therefore people might start getting interested, especially around the holidays and stuff, but we'll just have to wait and see. But the series was always billed as a limited series, just a one and done kind of thing, and the show kind of started, ended, and you can watch it in kind of one go now, because it's all available on Disney Plus. And yeah, there's no kind of big thing of whether or not there could be a second season. It's left, I think, open enough to the fact they could do a second season, but at the same time, if they didn't, it would be fine. Obviously, there's some elements to this of whether or not the creators would want to do so. During a recent interview with Variety to promote the show, John Watts, who was the creator of the show, he also directed the Spider-Man trilogy, he revealed that originally he pitched the project as a film, but because Lucasfilm was so focused on making series for Disney Plus, the whole project pivoted to a Disney Plus series. And so that's kind of why in some way this whole project kind of feels like a film that has been cut up, I'll be honest. It definitely feels like that. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a really good show. But it's definitely telling that, Lucasfilm was so focused on creating shows for Disney Plus that they kind of changed things around. Also, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was originally kind of pitched as a film. Even the Boba Fett show, that was also originally kind of planned to be a film, but they changed all their plans. However, that's kind of, I think, one of the biggest problems going forward for Skeleton Crew is the fact that now Lucasfilm is going back to theatrical films because they've kind of overdone the series. They've done too many of them. That's why the 4th season of The Mandalorian is now becoming Mandalorian and Grogu, and it's going to be hitting cinemas rather than going to Disney Plus. And we're just going to see a lot less shows. So I do think that is something to take into consideration. Now, I also think with the second season of the Skeleton Crew, there's a little bit of issue as well, like with the kids, because by the time they get this thing written and then made, and then all the post-production, etc., those kids are going to be well into their teenage years, so they will have to have aged up a little bit. So that's definitely an issue that they'll have to deal with. But I'm sure at some point, some other film or show might pick up the treads of it. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we saw Jude Law pop up in something else, because I think he's definitely an interesting character. But the kids, as they are, they can just be left on the planet, just living on this, living their lives, and not necessarily needing to give us any more of it. But I would love for it to continue. During that same interview, they did actually talk about a potential second season. The creators were asked if they'd spoken to Lucasfilm about the implications of Aten being revealed to the full galaxy, to which John replied, "If you talk about what a second season should be, there are so many repercussions to all the things that we did." He also was asked a little bit more about a second season, to which he replied, "Yeah, I am. You never really know when you make something and you send it out to the world what people are going to think, but the Star Wars fan base is very vocal, as everyone knows, and we've got such positive responses from everyone about this. We just want to make sure as many people see it as possible. We have a lot more stories to tell." And I think that is definitely a cool thing. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea for Disney with the Star Wars projects right now, especially with Skeleton Crew after the failure of Acolyte, of putting it out there and then going, we're going to wait and see. The audience is reacting strongly to the show. There's a lot of positivity about it, which is good. I think it's exactly what Star Wars needed. The Acolyte just brought everything down. And I think this is maybe a good thing leading up to the release of Andor Season 2. I think that's going to really help as well, because let's be honest, I think we all know Andor is going to be really good, but that show will be ending with this second season. Originally, that had been set to be a 5-season show. They cut that back down to a 2-season show for a number of reasons. I'm guessing just money, because I think it was going to cost a lot of money to get this thing done. But yeah, and I think after that, we might have Ahsoka. I don't think we're going to have much more than that, mainly just movies. So maybe they could do a Skeleton Crew and kind of turn it into a movie. Who knows, do something completely different and kind of continue those characters, or just do something completely different. Maybe an entirely other limited series, not necessarily Skeleton Crew, and continue the adventures with Jude Law's like pirate thing. I just think it was really fun as well, having a story that wasn't evolved around the Skywalkers. And I think they did the story so well. It wasn't necessarily, they had elements of like Jedi and the stories and the mythology, but it wasn't really about that. And I think that's what worked so well about this show. But obviously, I'd love to know your thoughts. Would you love to see a second season of Skeleton Crew? Or maybe a continuation of the story in another series or a movie? I'd love to hear how you would do it. Let me know all this in the comments below. Go check us out over at whatsonatdisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. And I shall see you guys soon. Laters.